In this video, we are going to talk about NASA and some of their involvements in the subject of UFOs. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration, established in 1958, coordinates and directs the aeronautical and space research program in the United States. Its budget for space activities alone is larger than the general budgets of a number of the world's important countries. Although officially a civilian agency, NASA collaborates with the Central Intelligence Agency, Department of Defense, National Reconnaissance Office, National Security Agency, and several others, and many of its personnel have high security clearances owing to the sensitive intelligence aspect of many of its programs. Research into UFOs is one such program. On 11 May 1962, NASA pilot Joseph A. Walker admitted that it was one of his appointed tasks to detect unidentified objects during his flights in the rocket-powered X-15 aircraft, and referred to 5 or 6 cylindrical disc-shaped objects that he had filmed during his record-breaking 50-mile-high flight in April that year. He also admitted that it was the second occasion on which he filmed UFOs in flight. "I don't feel like speculating about them," he said, during a lecture at the Second National Conference on the Peaceful Uses of Space Research in Seattle, Washington. "All I know is what happened on the film which was developed after the flight." Britain's FSR magazine cabled NASA headquarters requesting further information and copies of stills from the film taken by Walker. NASA replied, "Objects recently reported by NASA pilot Joe Walker have now been identified as ice flaking off the X-15 aircraft. Analysis of additional film cameras mounted on top of X-15 led to identification of the previously unidentified objects. No still photos are available." On 17 July 1962, Major Robert White piloted an X-15 to a height of 58 miles, and on his return reported having seen a strange object at the top of his climb. "I have no idea what it could be," he said. "It was grayish in color and about 30 to 40 feet away." Then, according to Time magazine, Major White is reported to have said excitedly over his radio, "There are things out there. There absolutely is." In 1967, a scientist at NASA made the following statement: "2 years ago, most of us regarded UFOs as a branch of witchcraft, one of the foibles of modem so many reputable people have expressed interest and confidence to NASA that I would not be in the least surprised to see the space agency begin work on a UFO study contract within the next 12 months. One of those who expressed interest was Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who wanted NASA to use its superlative space tracking network to monitor and document the entry of unidentified objects into Earth's atmosphere. The problem then, as now, is that UFO sightings tracked by NASA remain exempt from the public disclosure since they are classified top secret. But there have been leaks. In April 1964, 2 radar technicians at Cape Kennedy revealed that they had observed UFOs in pursuit of an unmanned Gemini space capsule. And in January 1961, it was reliably reported that the Cape's automatic tracking gear locked onto a mysterious object which was apparently following the Polaris missile over the South Atlantic. In 1967, NASA management instruction established procedures for handling reports of sightings of objects, such as fragments or component parts of space vehicles, known or alleged by an observer to have impacted upon the Earth's surface as a result of safety destruct action, failure in flight, or re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere, and also includes reports of sightings of objects not related to space vehicles. A rather euphemistic way of putting it, to be sure, but the internal instruction continues. It is Kennedy Space Center policy to respond to the reported sightings of space vehicle fragments and unidentified flying objects as promptly as possible. Under no circumstances will the origin of the object be discussed with the observer or person making the call. A 1978 NASA information sheet gives the agency's official policy on the subject. Quote, "NASA is the focal point for answering public inquiries to the White House relating to UFOs. NASA is not engaged in a research program involving these phenomena, nor is any government agency. Reports of unidentified objects entering United States airspace are of interest to the military as a regular part of the defense surveillance. Beyond that, the U.S. Air Force no longer investigates reports of UFO sightings." End quote. In 1978, Citizens Against UFO Secrecy, also known by the acronym CAUSE, filed a request for information relating to the NASA report entitled, quote, "UFO Study Considerations," end quote, which had previously been prepared in association with the CIA. In his response, Miles Wagner of NASA's Public Information Services branch denied this, stating, "There were no former meetings of any correspondence with the CIA." Following another inquiry by CAUS, NASA's Associate Administrator for External Relations, Kenneth Chapman, explained that the NASA report had been prepared solely by NASA employees, but that the CIA had been consulted by telephone to determine, quote, whether they were aware of any tangible or physical UFO evidence that could be analyzed. The CIA responded that they were aware of no such evidence, either classified or unclassified, end quote. NASA's statement in the 1978 information sheet that it was not engaged in a research program involving UFOs, nor is any other government agency, is demonstrably false, as is the denial of the Air Force investigations. Resources: Above Top Secret, Timothy Good, 1988. My take: NASA is going to have some of the best stuff. Their people would have gotten to see UFOs firsthand, whilst many others only dreamt about it. I am sure the UFOs are very interested in what we are doing in space. And on a personal note from this narrator, I myself have engaged in intimate in-person exchanges with an engineer from NASA's Langley Research Center in Hampton, Virginia, who, after a lengthy discussion on the topic, led me to a computer where they accessed several NASA UFO film and video footage clips. Some I had previously seen and some I had not, and would then only point to the screen and repeat the phrase, "You cannot deny this. You cannot deny this."
Don't forget to sign up for our Patreon page. Members get early access to videos, ad-free, and you can see content you can't see anywhere else.